Order. Arms. Post. Post. Colors. Turn.
Would now like to invite Father David to the front to give our invocation.
Let us pray. O God, we humbly ask for your blessings upon all who are commissioning today the United States Air Force. The mantle of leadership is being placed on these soon-to-be second lieutenants who have worked hard for many years to prove themselves worthy of this honor. Help them to strive for integrity first. Guide them to serve others in our nation before themselves. Give them the determination to perform with excellence all they do. May they always remember our nation's motto, "In God we trust." Bless the families and friends of these cadets who gathered to celebrate with them today. We ask your grace and blessing upon our speaker today, Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Pelback, as he shares his experience, wisdom, and advice to these new officers. With hearts filled with gratitude and pride, we thank you for these new officers. Watch over us as we witness this commissioning ceremony and grant us your blessing. Amen.
Thank you, ACO Fellows and Father Daly. Everyone, you may take your seats. My name is Tyler Carr. I am pleased to serve as your Master of Ceremonies this morning. I want to thank everyone for attending our commissioning ceremony, as we are aware many of you had to travel great lengths to witness this grand occasion. We are honored to have you here with us today, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to Air Force ROTC Detachment 157 commissioning ceremony. I would like to begin by welcoming Detachment 157's commander, Colonel Alan Dayton, and his wife, Amy. I would also like to welcome our guest speaker, United States Air Force Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Pelback. We have many distinguished guests with us here today. Please hold your applause until I've completed the list. Please welcome Dr. Karen Gaines, Dean of College Arts and Science, Dr. Shannon Gibson, Dean of College of Business, Dr. Lisa Kohler, the Assistant Provost and Dean of Students, retired Brigadier General Andrew Donnelly, Colonel Jason Palla, the Northwest Region Commander of Air Force ROTC, as well as former detachment commander here at Det 157, as well as former cadre members from Detachment 157, Captain Nicholas Henderson, coming from Virginia, Captain Derek Rose from Colorado. Please welcome all our service members, past and present, and Detachment 157 cadre and staff who are with us here this morning, especially our very own Miss Marie, who had a tremendous impact on making today's ceremony a reality. Today marks the end of a chapter and the beginning of a new one for these 13 commissionees. The gold bars being presented today reflect years of dedication and determination through leadership development, drill practice, award ceremonies, and intense PT, as well as field training. These soon-to-be second lieutenants have put countless hours to earn their spot here today. This is the crowning achievement for these cadets, and is becoming, for their careers, as becoming officers in the world's greatest Air Force and Space Force. In front of you all this morning is a group of truly remarkable individuals. They have contributed to the excellence at Detachment 157, the #1 detachment in Air Force ROTC across the nation. On behalf of the cadet wing, cadre, university, and the community, thank you for all your hard work. The graduating class has selected Cadet Caitlin Pessolano to say a few words on behalf of this commissioning class.
In the mortal words of William Norman, they said it couldn't be done. This has certainly not been an easy road. The fact that we're still standing here, sticking around an extra few months, is a statement to that. Many of our friends and classmates hit the road last spring, but we just loved the projects, reports, and exams too much, so we figured, heck, let's draw this out a little bit more. Most of us would barely recognize the freshman versions of ourselves that first marched into the IC auditorium for in-processing and orientation. We had no idea what the next 4 years would bring. The over 200 of us had all signed up for different reasons, had come from different places, and had different aspirations floating around in our heads about what we were going to do in the Air Force and who we were going to become. We spent that semester dodging the upperclassmen out of fear of messing up a greeting, having ironing parties for our uniforms in the dorm halls, and celebrating our first fitness test by going out to Steak and Shake. In the blink of an eye, we were sophomores, and were guiding the new cadets. We all looked at one another in shock that somehow we were supposed to be the role models. When the spring rolled around, we found ourselves frantically leaving the IC auditorium as field training preparation began, and the upperclassmen used enhanced volume to direct us to form up and march. That semester brought our class together as we struggled through the intense PTs, higher expectations, and general shenanigans that the upperclassmen training officers put us through. From guessing whose voice was on the opposite end of the office phone, to doing 157 burpees by the athletic fields, to tracking seamlessly endless amounts of sand into our dorms and cars from the sand pits behind campus. We asked ourselves quite often why we were doing this. And we eventually found our answers, both from our own motivation and from looking into the faces of our friends around us. Our friends who still kept showing up every day and motivating those around them to do the same. And then in another blur, it was the awarding of slots for field training, learning your departure date, and then finishing semester exams. That summer was spent in anticipation of your session and listening to war stories from those who had already gone. Even after that, though, the stories never stopped. You're guaranteed to still hear someone say, well, when I went to field training, at least once a week. When we all returned from our deployment to the remote forests of Alabama, we walked back onto campus as big bad upperclassmen, but we quickly realized that all those times we thought the older cadets knew everything, we were wrong. We felt like we didn't have a clue, and yet suddenly we were the ones leading, teaching, and training the underclassmen. We tried new things, failed, tried new things, and failed, but eventually found that the mistakes happened less, or at the very least, we found new ones to make. And then we were seniors, and were planning and training and leading the wing in a whole new way. It wasn't until we finally paused that we realized maybe we weren't so clueless after all. We'd come a long way from where we began, and somehow in those 4 years and change, 200 individuals shrunk and transformed into a family of 62. A dysfunctional family at times, but a family nonetheless, 13 of which sit on this stage today. Scott Bland, a powerhouse of the front desk, and who found himself taking over the whole wing our junior year as an executive officer, even when he didn't have to. Someone who has always been all in. In fact, Scott was so passionate at his job while we were training officers for the sophomores that I had to stop him from punching his clipboard as he was speaking to his cadets. He looks big and tough, but he's our class's Wreck-It Ralph. Now, David Dashler. We all have stories we could tell, but most are probably best left as fond memories. He's come a long way from his unfiltered Arnold Air Society briefings and the days where McGee, a senior cadet, would tell him to go hug a tree to make up for saying things that only Dashler would. Somehow he convinced them to make him our class president this semester. To be honest, wrangling 20 cadets with extreme senioritis is a full-time job in itself, so it's a wonder you managed it along with your own classes, assisting in Major Spiker's class, working at the front desk, and somewhat having a life. He's always been the first person to jump up when someone needs help, and the detachment's been left a better place for it. Now, I guess flight dispatch at the school will just have to close up now that the Dalton Hancock is packing it up. And Bowen will just have to go without your sense of style in the apartment, rocking a tucked-in sunset tank top with your OCP socks still on. Dalton will be well prepared for his RPA training from his late nights commanding the battlefield in Call of Duty. Levi Islam, the enigma and the one with the best poker face out of all of us. I think he even beats Lizzie. His ability to keep a straight face is unparalleled. But that doesn't mean he doesn't have a sense of humor. Just look back at our month in review videos when he was wing staff and see how many pineapples you can spot. Our resident space cadet, Kelly Ivy. She has somehow managed to keep her sense of humor despite the struggles of college, and the fact that COVID canceled all the events she planned as Mission Support Group of Commander. She kept things light by antagonizing Austin, pranking Jared, and drinking all the Starbucks bottles in the wingstaff office. Most impressively, Kelly managed to intimidate the underclassmen when she was a training officer. If they could have only seen her in her SpongeBob slippers around our apartment. With one glance, she can freeze cadets in her spot, our very own Lizzie Jackson. But get to know her, and she's one of the fiercest ladies I know. Having her at your side throughout training has been fantastic. But when we were freshmen in Strike Eagle Squadron, our campus survival club, I was a little worried. One time as we snuck through the woods in a scenario, our teammate let go of a tree branch and it smacked her straight in the eye. We weren't sure if Kyle was going to make it out of the woods alive. I'm glad she's on our side. Now, round of applause for our website wizard, Robert Kramer. It's a wonder we didn't force him into retirement last semester when we kept coming back to him asking, can the website do this? Can the website do that? He's unluckily been stuck with Austin for the longest time, first in our survival club, then as roommates, then flight staff, then making cadet incentive programs together. At least this semester, he only had to deal with the eternally rained-out obstacle course sessions with Marks. You'll never hear him complain, though, as he keeps giving his time and talents to everyone around him. Speaking of which, we can't forget about the hockey king himself, Mr. Ryan Marks. A man of few words, but I think he'd have some choice ones to say about the Florida weather that kept canceling the obstacle course sessions. He also had the genius idea of scheduling an 8 a.m. class this semester and needing to leave training early every Wednesday and staying home from PTs. I see you. Justin Quiones, the old man of the detachment. The number of times he gives us an existential crisis by mentioning how he already has a wife and son. Our former enlisted friend here figured he'd just skip the line and join us rather than stick around with his own class for another semester. It's all right, we realize we're just that much cooler. And where can I even begin with our illustrious former Vice Wing Commander, Jared Rotunda? Whether it was freezing his desk name tape in Jell-O or getting him going on real-life crime dramas, the day-to-day will be a lot less fun without his grumpy face around. You always knew he was thinking hard on something when he started rocking back and forth in his chair. Leave it to Jared to say what everyone's thinking in his usual brusque New York way, leaving us laughing and in better spirits for it. There's no one you'd rather have your back, and no one who takes better care of his people, even when he acts like he doesn't particularly like us. Now, even if he is from the worst part of Virginia, I can't skip our favorite bear, Austin Yogi. He has a knack for getting himself into ridiculous situations, just like his namesake. He's shown up to PT in a sand t-shirt after dressing in the dark after running late. He broke the flagpole at field training and tried to sneak through formation without his water pack, without success. He ascribes to older, therefore wiser, in his approach to homework, and you can guarantee you'll be getting a call the night before an assignment's due. He brings heart to the detachment, though, and his future unit will be lucky to have him. Flying under the radar, but maybe not for long with his RPA slot, is our own Nathan Young. From starting a group chat for cadets in aerospace engineering, to organizing study materials, to creating an algorithm that literally predicted shortages in our uniform room before they happened, he's been a huge benefit to the detachment. Always laid back, you'd never guess it when he was swimming in class assignments. Now, although I joke around, everyone on this stage has worked tirelessly to get to this point, and has put in many late nights and early mornings to get here. But none of this would have been made possible without the support and help of our peers, the wisdom and guidance of those before us, and the drive to be better and leave the wing better for those coming after us. We're spurred on to continue learning and growing and to become the best leaders we can for those who never got this opportunity, for the friends who could not continue in the program for whatever reasons and would have given anything to be in our shoes right now, and especially for those who have passed away, whose legacies we carry with us as a badge of honor and a promise to fulfill. Lastly, we wouldn't be here without the countless hours our past and present cadre members put into us. Whether it was teaching our classes, guiding our training, or keeping our personnel files in order, you were always there to help guide us and motivate us throughout our journeys here. You all embodied what it meant to be a leader, but how to do it with your own style. We will never forget Captain Rose and his blockbuster PowerPoints, dry humor, and memes that rivaled that the cadets posted on the lounge bulletin board. Or Captain Walter's cherished advice before every break: don't dabble in the stupid. How Captain Henderson lost a bet and had to serenade his class. Major Biddle and her love of all things Disney, and Colonel Patla with his dad jokes. The way you could never have a quick chat with Lieutenant Colonel Hollingsworth, but at least left hearing some wild stories. And we can't leave out Miss Marie, who watched us grow from clueless freshmen to slightly less clueless seniors. She's been the glue that holds the detachment together for the past 45 years, and has helped thousands of cadets. We can't thank you all enough for the effort you put in and the belief you had in our potential. I know I speak for us all when I say how relieved and excited we are to have made it to the finish line of ROTC. But as we well know, this is only the start. Thank you.
Thank you, Cadet Pestilano. I now have the distinct honor to introduce our guest speaker for this morning's ceremony, Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Pelback. Lieutenant Colonel Pelback is a 2001 graduate from the Air Force Academy and then entered active duty as a pilot in June of 2002. He has been stationed all over the United States, building up over 4,000 hours of flying time across many airframes, including the T-37B, T-7A, T-17A, and C-40C. Those are big planes. Lieutenant Colonel Pelback has served on multiple deployments in support of many major operations, including Operation Enduring Freedom, Iraqi Freedom, Resolute Support, and New Dawn. Lieutenant Colonel Pelback is now the Director of C-17 Special Operations for the 437th Operation Group in Charleston, South Carolina. Most recently, Lieutenant Colonel was in the Air Mission Commander for the first evacuation of military and civilian personnel in Kabul, Afghanistan. He was responsible for all aircraft supporting the tactical SFIL and was the last aircraft off the ground. Lieutenant Colonel has been awarded many awards: the Defense Meritorious Service Medal, and the Air Force Commendation Medal, as well as many other awards and accolades over the years. In total, he has proudly served the United States Air Force for 19 years. It is my honor to welcome Lieutenant Colonel Pelback.
Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. First, hey, thank you to the distinguished guests who are here. Appreciate your investment, your time. Colonel Dayton and the ROTC instructor force, the teachers, thank you so much for your investment over the last few years into the next generation of officers. Really the unsung heroes, I think, in this commissioning ceremony. And thank you so much to the families. Listen, being commissioned into the Air Force, serving in the Air Force at all, in any facet of the military, is an incredibly honorable profession. But it's one that comes with a tremendous amount of sacrifices as well. And one thing I've learned in 20 years is that can't be done without the friends and the family that are here. So thank you so much for the time and investment you've already put into these cadets. More importantly, thank you for the support that you're going to be continuing to provide as they start their careers. Most importantly, thank you guys to the cadets, to the about-to-be lieutenants. Incredibly honored to be here with you guys today. Thank you for letting me be part of one of the most significant moments in your all's careers. You know, 20 years ago, I was sitting in your seat. Almost just over 20 years ago, I was sitting there. And just like you, coincidentally, I was entering a time in the military when America was not actually at war. But just 3 months and 11 days after I commissioned, all of that changed, we know. Everything changed for America, I think, and certainly for those of us serving the military after the events of September 11, 2001. Fast forward 20 years later, and I found myself in Afghanistan, leading the Air Force element in what we called a Joint Tactical Exfil. This was the final removal of all of our forces out of Kabul, Afghanistan, closing what ended up being a 20-year war. 20 years ago, sitting in your seat, to that day just a few months ago, I never ever could have imagined I'd find myself where I was. So how do you get from where you are today to whatever the world is going to bring you in the future? I'd like to give you just a few thoughts to get you started on this, and make no mistake, there is no clear path. There are no defined steps to a successful career. There's nothing anybody can tell you that one way is better than another way. But you all are about to be officers. You're going into various career fields, some pilots, engineers, RPAs, various other career fields. One thing is sure about this: wherever you are officers first. And officers, you're expected to be leading people. And what you're going to find, a report was released very recently in the last couple of months. The most stressful jobs in America. Number one most stressful job in America is that of enlisted member in the United States military. You as officers, even as second lieutenants, are going to be leading these people in the most stressful job in America. So I can't give you a defined path to success. What I hope to provide you guys today is just a few principles that you can live by as officers and leaders that are going to set you along the right path. First of these, bloom where you're planted. You're going to hear this a lot in your career, that many things, opportunities you come across, your career is all about luck and timing. I'm telling you that is absolutely false. That is not true. If you ever hear that, know that that is not true. There is no such thing as luck and timing. There is only lucky timing. While you can't do anything about the opportunities when the opportunities may come your way, you can do everything about being prepared for those opportunities. So lesson number 1 here, bloom where you're planted. A few years ago, quite a few years ago, a skinny kid from the University of Michigan was drafted into the NFL in the 6th round. He was drafted very specifically to be a backup quarterback. And sitting the bench for about half of a season carrying a clipboard, he never could have predicted that the person he was backing up, who was, if you're an NFL fan, probably know, an all-pro, 3-time all-pro as a matter of fact, Super Bowl quarterback, perennial all-star. And he gets hurt. And so this skinny kid from Michigan is called off the bench, go into the game, and in 20 years he has never come off the field since then. He is generally considered to be the 2nd greatest quarterback of all time. If you know what I'm talking about now, I'm talking about Tom Brady. Tom Brady, there's nothing he could have done to predict when he was going to go in. He had absolutely no influence over when that opportunity was going to come. But Tom Brady isn't who he is because he got lucky. It's because he was prepared, because he did what it took leading up to that moment so that when his number was called, he was ready to take the field. This is what you guys can do. We're gonna place you as second lieutenants in a jobs that probably initially don't have a tremendous amount of responsibility. That's outside your control. You may see other people in your career get presented with opportunities that seems passing you by. That's outside of your control. What you can do with whatever job that you're given, you do it to the best that you possibly can. Bloom where you're planted. The second, lead with humility. In the early 2000s in the Iraq War, General Stanley McChrystal took over Joint Special Operations Command, JSOC. What he realized when he took command, most of his operations centered around Iraq at the time, was that he was in charge of many disparate organizations. We're talking Air Force, Army, Navy, Marines, State Department, CIA. And while these are all high-functioning units, one of the challenges he had was communication across these elements. And so one of the things that he decided to do was place liaison officers in each one of these organizations. So Air Force got an Army guy. The State Department got somebody wearing one of these uniforms. Army probably had somebody from the Navy in there. And one of his most key nodes of intelligence sharing that he found was not sharing as well as it should be was a embassy out in Yemen. So General McChrystal took a Navy SEAL, a young Navy SEAL, Navy Lieutenant 03, plucked him from the battlefield, a battle-hardened, successful on-the-battlefield warrior, and placed him in the State Department inside the embassy in Yemen with the sole purpose of developing relationships and opening up that communication node. Well, you can imagine when he shows up there, he was not welcome in the embassy. They stuck him in a cubicle back in the corner, wasn't invited to any of the meetings. Nevertheless, he had a very specific task. So what did this young officer do? He started by taking out the trash. At the end of every day, he went cubicle to cubicle, office to office, collecting people's garbage. And in doing so, he started meeting some people. A couple weeks into this, he overheard one of the embassy workers talking about how much they miss Chick-fil-A. So he was able to arrange Chick-fil-A to be delivered on the next embassy flight, which instant office hero, I'm sure. And then a couple weeks after that, there was a security movement going on in the country, and somebody happened to remember they had a Navy SEAL and said, hey, maybe he knows something about security. They asked him, he said, as a matter of fact, that's my specialty, I can help you with that. Before he knew it, he was leading all the security for the embassy. A few weeks after that, he had a seat at the table. In just 3 months, Yemen became one of General McChrystal's most important intelligence nodes and had no problem sharing information. All because this young officer was humble enough to take out the trash. Wherever you go, wherever we put you, just like bloom where you're planted, as an officer, one of the best things you can do is lead by example. And if that means you got to take out the trash, have the humility to take out the trash. Last point for you guys, the most important. Hey, there's more to life than the Air Force. This is an honorable profession that you are entering. I've loved almost every minute of the 20 years I've served, but it's also very difficult. And what you're going to see is, as you commission and you get put in roles of leadership, is that it's also very difficult. America's going to ask a lot of you. You're going to be gone a lot. You're young. Many of you will start families. Back to our enlisted members being in the most stressful job in America. Life is going to continue to happen. And it's not all about the job that you're in. I want to share one more story with you. A few years ago, I had the opportunity to be an operations officer in a squadron. Normal staff meeting one morning. A young captain had some tasks, and they were incomplete. Not a huge deal. He was sort of encouraged, hey, it's time to get your stuff together. We need you to stay on top of these tasks. Maybe a little bit something off with him there. About 15 minutes after the meeting concluded, he walked into the commander's office, and he said, hey, sir, I need help. I have a problem. I can't stop drinking. So like any good leader and commander would do, the commander decided we need to take care of this person, this human being. 15 minutes after that, he was in my car, and I drove him over to the medical clinic into a program we call ADAPT, the alcohol and substance abuse program that all military bases have. Pulled his blood, alcohol content at that time, about 10 o'clock in the morning, and it was somewhere around 0.12, I think. Very high functioning, very normal person, great pilot, great friend to everybody. Nobody had any idea that he was struggling with these things. By the end of the day, and one of the great things about being in our Air Force is we know how to take care of people. By the end of the day, he was in a 30-day in-treatment facility, getting well. He's come out of that program. He's still an officer. He's still a pilot. More importantly, he's successful at life. A great leader once told me that we're not just as officers in the business of developing leaders, we're also in the business of developing great citizens. I'm going to close by reading a text. Every year on the anniversary of that day for this guy, I get a text from him. This text says, 6 years ago today, I'm currently rocking my 1-year-old daughter while she takes a nap on my lap. I just wanted to say thank you to the 2 people that made it possible. Hope all is well. You've got a big task before you as officers. Number one and that task is leading people. The way you can do that successfully, bloom where you're planted, lead with humility, and never forget that there's more to life than the Air Force. Thank you so much for having me here today, you guys. I very much look forward to serving with you.
All the commissioning needs, all the attachment, and want to give a token of appreciation by passing the coin. And thank you so much for being here. At this time, we'd like to invite Colonel Dayton to the stand to give out our Distinguished Graduate Award.
Hey, good morning, everybody. I don't have to tell you guys, some of you have already got to introduce myself to, but I don't have to tell you that today is a pretty stinking big day. Today, these cadets become officers. Today, these graduates that we saw walk across the stage yesterday, they become leaders. Today, these commissionees get to join the less than 1% of Americans that choose to put on this uniform. And here in a few minutes, they're going to stand up and they're going to do the oath of office. And this is going to be their promise to their country. A lot of people look at graduation as the finish line. You know, I'm done. Thank God I made it. But not these 13. They know exactly what graduation is, and they know exactly what this oath that they're about to take signifies. For them, and I guess I stole some comments from Pesolano, for them, they know it is their starting line. And like anyone standing at a starting line of a very elite race, which they are getting ready to do, you got to have some good coaching. And so I want to take just a second to say thank you to all our cadre, both past for being here and present. These folks absolutely love the 13 people on this stage. They've developed them, they've trained them, they've watched them, they've laughed, they've cheered, they've worried, and they've evaluated. And they couldn't be prouder of what they've accomplished. And I also want to say a sincere gratitude to all the families here. As was mentioned earlier in the ceremony, no doubt the investment that you've put into these folks and the love that you've poured into them is the foundation that they're going to take onto active duty. And so, are you nervous? I keep asking all the commissionees this morning, are you nervous? I'm nervous. Who wouldn't be? Geez, they're getting ready to take on something that they haven't done before. And that's okay. But I'm here to tell you, based off their training, based off their experience, when the starting gun goes off on their elite race, and we pin this rank on them here in a few minutes, you will see their training take effect, and they will get up to speed very quickly. And whether they decide to run the race for 4 years or 40 years, doesn't matter. They're ready. But like any good team, as was mentioned, we've got to recognize a couple of most valuable players. And so I'm here to recognize our distinguished graduates for this class. This is the top 10% of the graduating class for the entire fiscal year. I'll tell you that all 13 of these folks have put all of their effort and time into this program, and some of them have overcome amazing obstacles to get here. But there are a couple who stood out, embodying our core value of excellence in all we do. And so I'd like to start by recognizing the first distinguished graduate, Cadet Caitlin Pesolano. The second distinguished graduate, Cadet Jared Rotunda. And the third and final distinguished graduate, Cadet Kelly Ivey.
Thank you, Colonel Dayton. Commissioning will now begin. Please stand by for just a moment while we prepare the stage. Again, as a reminder, whenever your commissionee's name is called, please make your way forward to the stage, as well as those pinning on the second lieutenant ranks and for the first salutes. Military oaths date back to ancient Rome, where soldiers would pledge their loyalty to a specific general. Our founding fathers agreed upon the importance of having an oath, so much so that they incorporated not only the military, but in many other governmental entities. Although the oath has evolved, the meaning behind it has stood the test of time. The oath of office represents a sacrifice that these individuals would make as officers to defend the Constitution and to uphold the core values of integrity first, service before self, and excellence in all they do. In front of you today are dedicating themselves not only to the United States government, but to the airmen and the fellow officers who will be working alongside them each and every day. The freedom and safety of our great nation is now their responsibility. With this understanding, we will begin commissioning ceremony. Will now begin. Our first commissionee is Cadet Scott Bland. He'll be entering the Air Force as a remotely piloted aircraft pilot, and he is awaiting on his assignment. Commissioning him this morning will be retired Colonel Kobe Bland. He'll be pinned on by Mother Teresa Bland, Brother Zachary Bland, and Sister Caroline Rentz. His first salute will be Staff Sergeant Jacob Bland. Our next commissionee is Cadet David Dashler. Cadet Dashler will be entering the Air Force as a pilot. His first assignment is at Laughlin Air Force Base, Texas. Commissioning him this morning will be Colonel Jason Patla. He will be pinned on by his father, Michael Dashler, and his brother, Andrew Dashler. His first salute will be Master Sergeant Michael Dashler and Staff Sergeant Andrew Dashler. Group picture. Everybody's got to get in there. Our next commissionee will be Cadet Dalton Hancock. He'll be entering as a remotely piloted aircraft pilot. His first assignment will be at Creech Air Force Base, Nevada. Commissioning him will be retired Colonel Terry Corson. He'll be pinned on by his mother, Cindy Hancock, and grandfather, Dale Lucas. His first salutes will be with retired senior airman Cindy Hancock and grandfather Dale Lucas. Our next cadet is Cadet Levi Islam. Islam will be entering the United States Air Force as a pilot. His first assignment will be Vance Air Force Base, Oklahoma. Commissioning him this morning will be Colonel Alan Dayton.
I, Levi James, having been appointed as second lieutenant in the United States Air Force, do solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same. That I take this obligation freely, without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion. And that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office upon which I am about to enter. So help me God.
He'll be pinned on by his mother, Donna Islam, and father, James Islam. His first salute will be with Lance Corporal Christian Berea. Our next commissionee is Cadet Kelly Ivy. She'll be entering the United States Space Force as a Space Operations Officer. Her first assignment will be in Vandenberg Space Force Base, California. Commissioning her this morning will be Captain Derek Rose. She'll be pinned on by her mother, Sue Ivy, and brother, Christopher Ivy. Her first salute will be with retired specialist Tom Ivy. Our next commissionee is Cadet Elizabeth Jackson. She'll be entering the United States Air Force as a Cyber Systems Developmental Engineer. She's still waiting on her base assignment. Commissioning her this morning will be Second Lieutenant Brock Pennington. She will be pinned on by her brother Brad Jackson and sister Esperanza Jackson. Her first salute will be Specialist Brad Jackson. Our next commissionee will be Cadet Robert Kramer. He'll be also entering the United States Air Force as a Cyber Systems Developmental Engineer and waiting on his assignment. Commissioning him will be retired Commander Robert Kramer. He'll be pinned on by his mother, Train Kramer, father, Tim Kramer, and grandmother, Jean Kramer. His first salute will be Staff Sergeant Ramon Santiago. Our next commissionee is Cadet Ryan Marks. He'll be entering the United States Air Force as an astronomical developmental engineer and is waiting on his assignment. Commissioning him this morning will be Colonel Alan Dayton. He'll be pinned on by his mother, Brenda Marks, father, Donald Marks, and sister, Nicole Marks. His first salute will be Lance Corporal Drake Heaster. Our next commissionee is Cadet Caitlin Pesolano. She'll be entering the United States Air Force as an astronomical developmental engineer, continuing education at Purdue University in Indiana. Commissioning her this morning will be Colonel Jason Patla. She'll be pinned on by her mother, Kathleen Pesolano, father, Brian Pesolano, and brother, Aaron Pesolano. Her first salute will be retired Specialist 5th Class Carl Pesolano. Our next commissionee is Cadet. Our next commissionee is Cadet Justin Quiones. He'll be entering the United States Air Force as a remotely piloted aircraft pilot. His first assignment will be at Creech Air Force Base, Nevada. Commissioning him this morning will be Captain Derek Rose.
Hi, Justin Quiones. I've been appointed as second lieutenant in the United States Air Force. I've been appointed as second lieutenant in the United States Air Force.
He'll be pinned on by his mother Jasmine, his wife Haley, and his son Victor. His first salute will be Staff Sergeant Rakeem Russell. Our next commissionee is Cadet Jared Rotunda. He'll be entering the United States Air Force as a pilot, with his first assignment being at Laughlin Air Force Base, Texas. Commissioning him this morning will be Second Lieutenant Joseph Masser. He'll be pinned on by his mother Denise Rotunda, father Scott Rotunda, and Helen Hayden. His first salute will be Staff Sergeant Ramon Santiago. Our next commissionee is Cadet Austin Yogi. He'll be entering the United States Air Force as an acquisitions officer, still waiting on his assignment. He'll be commissioning him this morning will be Captain Joseph Dixon. Be pinned on by his mother, Stefani Yogi, and father, James Yogi. And brother, Carson Yogi. His first salute will be with Staff Sergeant Ramon Santiago. Our final commissionee this evening is Cadet Nathan Young. He will be entering the United States Air Force as a remotely piloted aircraft pilot. His first assignment will be in Cannon Air Force Base, New Mexico. Commissioning him this morning will be Colonel Jason Patla. He will be pinned on by his mother, Maria Young. His first salute will be Staff Sergeant Paige Welch. Now I'd like to invite all the commissionees to the stage for one last picture. Thanks. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the United States Air Force and United States Space Force, the newest second lieutenants. Thank you to all the family, friends, cadre members, former and present, for coming to this evening. Now please join us as the second lieutenants lead us in the singing of the Air Force song. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our ceremony for this morning. We thank you for attending today's festivities and witnessing such a special event. In particular, we want to extend a thank you to our guest speaker, Lieutenant Colonel Pelback, Father Daly, and the ACA Fellows for their contributions to this ceremony this morning. Today, we are starting a new tradition here at Detachment 157, where the detachment commander will lead the commissioning class in a champagne toast. So please join us to take photos over by the Wright Fire statue, located just across the street in front of the Student Union, to take those pictures. Thank you.